since it's the core of the trifactor, that we're trying to cover over here, VSA will push out and in all functionalities from other ticketing tools or documentation management tools as well, right? So, the integration aspect that I spoke about, it works seamlessly and effectively with our tools and also the tools that are available in the market. URMM also means managing all IT environments, be it cloud, be it on-prem, or even being a hybrid kind of a setup. And of course, the new norm, the hybrid work from home. So it covers all of those aspects. To sum this up, we talk about a highly efficient, highly automated system with effective workflow integrations, which are built across the other platforms that we would want to consider in a unified RMM setup. Now, the two types of remote endpoint management, right? We talk about Live Connect, we talk about direct or remote connect. Now, Live Connect, I'm sure most of you are aware of the Live Connect feature in VSA. It works behind the scenes, right? So your end user wouldn't even know that there's a technician working behind and trying to fix the issue that's been raised, or a concern or an incident that's been ticketed. Now you get access to your CPU configuration, your memory utilization, all of the user-based information is also accessed, and all of it is happening behind, not disrupting the end business user. Now you can run agent-based procedures all in the background. The other remote control that I wanted to cover is the remote control, which is a direct console access to, be it a shared session or even a private session in a remote control, access to your endpoint. Now, the VSA tool, the SaaS VSA tool, also provides Live Connect for your Linux platforms. So we have already extended this feature onto Macs and Windows platform. Now, even Linux is covered. Now, doing a little bit more a deep dive onto IT automation, it allows you to, the configuration of your endpoints, so maintenance of tasks, patching, remediating, monitoring alerts. For example, if your hard drive fills up, a script is run to clean and the temp directory, which in turn brings back the system into compliance. Now, over here, I would like to cover 2 layers of automation that is built inside the platforms. One is a UI-based automation, where there is no scripting knowledge that is required. And the other is an agent-based procedure, which is inbuilt into the platforms that I just covered. A couple of years ago, we also built something called as Automation Exchange, AE, which is a free repository. It has a whole lot of cassette content in terms of scripts, policies. So, what happens over here is that it eases the use of where the customer can, leverage the existing content, and really they needn't have to build anything. Both from the cassette standpoint, and of course, there's a whole lot of contribution coming in from the communities as well. So that's the Automation Exchange that I would like to cover over here. One of the key factors over here in IT automation is policy management. Where you consistently are pushing relevant policies to bring back endpoints into compliance and to also handle their exceptions. In a scenario where a system hasn't been patched for a while, it falls into a completely different policy management with an aggressive patch management being pushed into that endpoint to bring the endpoint back into compliance. This can be easily handled because it's highly automated. So there's no manual intervention over here. Okay, so that's with the IT documentation. Now, the other aspect over here is the way we auto remediate the tickets, right? I think this is one of the coolest things that we have as a feature functionality in the product. You can set up monitoring in VSA to automatically create a ticket when there's an alert on an endpoint or any other network device which is in the port. Then you can also set up a workflow in the service desk solution, works in this case, to execute a VSA agent procedure to remediate the incident that's being highlighted. If VSA monitoring creates a ticket with, for example, a load disk space, a service desk workflow can automatically execute a VSA agent-based procedure to clear this disk space when it sees this ticket. All of this is, again, highly automated. Right. So we just covered some aspects of the automation component in VSA. Now, integration with the documentation tool. It allows us to sync all of the agents from the endpoint, the configuration of the agent from the IT Glue documentation. So crisscrossing across the systems becomes easy. If we were on the system and there was an incident, it's easy to switch over, run a script, run Live Connect, to run the troubleshooting procedures without having to get away or log off the IT documentation tool. So the ease of interoperability between these solutions is primary over here. Over here again, we also have the Live Connect integrated with IT Glue. And this will give us the content that is relevant from the IT documentation tool back to the engineers. We also have the ability to seamlessly drive into IT Glue with just a click, allowing us to do a deep dive into that particular configuration without having to sign into another tool or a platform. See, in this given age and time, confinement of technicians in the office is not going to be that optimal. So folks are going to be on the move, visiting clients and updating systems and troubleshooting issues. With Kaseya's Fusion mobile app, which is built on both iOS and Android, the objective here is to allow you to function on mobile devices of your choice. From a VSA standpoint, it gives you all the Live Connect functionality, services, and all of the benefits that you would require to remotely control all of your endpoints, all from a mobile device. And it not only allows you to monitor, but it also allows you to troubleshoot from your handheld devices. Now, this, as I said earlier, is highly integrated. Now, it's highly integrated on your mobile platform as well, into your ticketing system, if you're using BMS, and also allows you to update the ticket and allows you to change the status, priority logs, and the time that you spent resolving this ticket. All of it is done using your handheld. Right, and hence we have enabled all of these key functionality, feature functionalities that you require from the three systems, right? Be it VSA, be it Forex, be it IT Glue, all of it is done on your mobile device through a simple app, which is called Kaseya Mobile Fusion app, making your tech teams as agile as possible. Right. So with this, I will hand off the session for this webinar to John, who will quickly, give us a demo and show us, upfront to how these products function. John, over to you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Praveen, for setting up the stage for me to take the audience through the live presentation of our trifecta, that's VSA, Vorex, and IT Glue. So I have shared the screen if any one of the panelists could confirm whether they are able to view it so that I can get started right away.
It's all good, John. I can see it.
All right, perfect. Now, as Praveen apprised during his slide deck presentation, that VSA is our flagship product and VSA is agent-based. Now, there are a few different ways in which the agents can be installed. If the machines are in the network, I can do a network harvest and can discover the devices and install the agents on them. If the machines are in the same domain, however, they are in a different network, I could do a domain harvest. And once again, I can go ahead and install the agents on the endpoints. Last but not the least, in today's day and age, wherein there is a hybrid workforce environment, wherein most of the people are working from home and few individuals are in office, in that situation, to manage and monitor the endpoints that are lurking isolated or those isolated devices, I could go ahead and send across the agent package as a link in an email. And once the end user clicks on that particular link, the agent package will get downloaded and installed automatically, silently behind the scene itself. Now, once the agent will get installed on any particular endpoint, it will be classified from an unmanaged to a managed machine. Now, the maximum amount of time that an administrator is going to spend in VSA is in the agent section. So once I go to the agent tab, I would get to see all the endpoints on which the agents are installed, which will be classified now as my managed endpoints. We do have the flexibility of filtering it down based on machine groups, and these machine groups could be classified as different branch offices, locations, departments, organizational units, and we can go as deep as 5 levels of hierarchy. Further to this, we could also go ahead and configure views, and these views are set to be technology views. So apart from filtering the machines that I am managing based on a certain entity or an organizational unit, if I want to specifically have a look at, let's say, servers that I'm managing for a specific organization, I could further use the technology view to filter them down and get the data that I'm looking for. Now, once the agent gets installed on any particular endpoint, it becomes completely color-coded. So the administrator would get to know whether the agent has checked in or not. So over here, gray means that the agent is offline and it hasn't checked into the central Kaseya server. Green means the agent is online. It is checked into the Kaseya server. There is a persistent connection that's been established, but user is not logged in. With a yellow face means user is logged in but inactive for last 10 minutes. And with a blue face means that the user is logged in and active. Now, to remote into a particular system, I just need to hover over the system mouse pointer on any particular endpoint on which the agent is installed and click on remote control. Now, once I click on remote control, in the next 5 to 10 seconds, I would remote into that particular endpoint. Once I have established remote control, I can get to see the latency that's involved. If there are multiple monitors, I could even toggle between the displays and get to see the applications that's launched on them. But do keep in mind, this is console-based, meaning whatever I click over here, even the end user would also get to see it. Apart from this, we've also provided the functionality to record the screen sharing session for audit and compliance purpose. And this is completely configurable based on the server or the workstation wherein you are going ahead and establishing remote control. Apart from this, pasting to clipboard so that you can go ahead and paste complex passwords instead of typing it at the login screen, SQL queries, procedural instructions, so on and so forth. We've also provided one-click functionality as well. So this is specifically going to be helpful in case if I am planning to go ahead and remote into a domain controller. However, the domain administrator is on a lunch break. Being a domain administrator, he is skeptic and apprehensive in providing the domain credentials to the technician who will be troubleshooting at any particular issue related to the DC. So at that point of time, instead of waiting for the domain administrator to be back at his desk and wasting my precious time, what I could do is I could go ahead and start a one-click session. Now, this is going to automatically log me in to that particular device on which the agent is installed as a Kaseya administrator, or in other words, the username is going to be kadmin, and the password is going to be completely hashed out. It's a random password that gets generated and no one gets to know about it. Now, the time to live for that password is time to live for the session itself, meaning next time I establish a one-click session, once again, a random password gets generated. Now, last but not the least, from a remote control perspective, we've also provided the functionality of drag and drop as well, meaning at any given point of time, if I want to transfer a particular file, I would not have to send it across over an email or upload it on the FTP share, so on and so forth. All I need to do is drag and drop it from the host onto the target, and the file is going to reside at this particular location. And from here, if required, I could go ahead and transfer it to a desired directory of my own. So this was one way of establishing remote. Now, the other way is using Live Connect. So the difference between remote control and Live Connect is, as Praveen had apprised, remote control is console-based, but Live Connect works behind the scene itself, wherein the end user will not get to realize what exactly the tech is doing on that specific endpoint. This is specifically going to be helpful in case if I do not want to disrupt the day in, day out life of the end user, or if the end user is working on some mission critical projects, which is of utmost importance. Rather than establishing a remote control, I can start troubleshooting behind the scene itself using Live Connect. Now, once I establish Live Connect, I would get to see the entire asset summary, which comprises of all this information. I could also get to see the asset info, documents, any type of logs, scripts that's been executed, software that's installed, and user accounts that's created as well. I could establish shared or a private session, or even establish one-click access as well, the one that I spoke about a few minutes before. We could also get to see files based on volumes as well. So let's say, for instance, I want to drill down and have a look at the contents of C drive, can drill down to it, get to see the relevant files and folders. And if required, I could download, delete, move, make a copy, as well as rename them. I can also upload files or folders from my local system as well. We could also execute command lines as well as PowerShell commands. So at this point of time, if I just type in who am I get to see that I'm logged in with highest system privilege, that's NT-authority/system. It's the same level of access with which the agent is going to get installed. I would also get to see the services that's running on this specific machine, and if required, can start, stop, or disable them the way we do it from services.msc console. Even get to see the processes that's running. And in case if any particular process is consuming huge amount of memory or CPU, I could also kill the process or end it the way we do it from taskbar. Now, as this is a backdoor entry that we've provided, I could also drill down to the registry hives and make changes to the registry key if needed, and can also get to see event logs, not only in perspective of application, hardware, or software, but also security events as well. Now, at this point of time, would like to apprise you that as VSA is multi-tenant in nature, I can go ahead and establish as many Live Connect sessions as required. Now, before I move out of Live Connect and talk about the other bells and whistles of within VSA at a very high level, during our presentation, or during Praveen's presentation, he highlighted an aspect which is one of the core functionalities of Trifecta, wherein IT Glue gets integrated with VSA. Now, at any given point of time, if I'm a technician and I have established on a domain controller, now, prior going ahead and troubleshooting on that domain controller using the backdoor access that I have been given privilege to, if I would want to have a look at certain SOPs, procedural instruction, documents, any specific passwords, I would not have to log into IT Glue or switch between the applications. With the help of cohesive workflow that we do have amongst VSA, IT Glue, and Vorex, at any given point of time, I can just click on the IT Glue icon, would get to see all the relevant attachments, embedded passwords, any specific notes, as well as the version history of the documents as well, and any other related items that is prevalent in IT Glue pertaining to this specific endpoint on which I have established a Live Connect session. Now, for instance, at any given point of time, I would want to get access to the admin password. All I need to do is I just need to click on admin password. It is going to log me in directly to IT Glue, specifically to that particular attribute on which I have clicked, and it is going to take me down to that specific configuration item which has been configured in IT Glue itself. So in other words, we are making the technicians more efficient by saving their time. Now, proceeding further, when we are talking about VSA, patch management is an integral part of VSA, and that's where software management comes into the picture. Now, once I go to software management, I would be presented by a dashboard, which is going to let me know the total number of vulnerabilities, number of machines that's vulnerable, percentage of machines that's vulnerable, so on and so forth. Now, over here, I wanted to spend a minute or so talking specifically about a couple of these dashlets, which says percentage of machines that's vulnerable and percentage of machines that's in or out of compliance. Now, being an administrator, it's my foremost responsibility to make sure that all the machines are patched and up to date so that there is no security leakage within the organization, or if the machines are patched and up to date, I will be well covered in terms of security breach. Now, at any given point of time, if I would want to have a look at all the relevant machines that's vulnerable, and do keep in mind when we talk about the word vulnerable, in Kaseya land, it means that the systems are not patched and up to date. So if I want to have a look at all those relevant machines at a glance, I would not have to leave the software management module and switch to reports to get that information. All I need to do is click on the blue section of the pie chart, would get to see all the relevant machines which are not patched and up to date, the number of patches that needs to get updated, along with the last time that they were scanned, and a successful deployment occurred as well. Now, another aspect from an IT perspective, or being an IT personnel managing and monitoring systems for an organization, is to make sure that all these machines are in compliance, so that if I am getting audited by a third-party external auditor, I will not be liable in paying huge amount and hefty fines. And one way to do that is to make sure that all my systems are patched and up to date, so that they are not exposed to any outside or inside threats and they are no longer vulnerable. Now, if I would want to have a look at all the relevant machines that's out of compliance, meaning that they are not patched and up to date, all I need to do is click on the green section of the pie chart. It is going to list out more or less the same systems which are not patched and up to date. What is the reason that they are non-compliant? So being an administrator, I would make sure that all these relevant machines, which are not only vulnerable, but also out of compliance in terms of patching, are the front runners, so that they are patched at the earliest. And by doing this, I would make sure that my organization is no longer vulnerable to any inside or outside attacks. And also I'm in compliant when it comes to auditing. Now, all these relevant aspects that we have seen, it could be configured through the scan and analysis profile, and then we can configure a deployment profile so that the patches will get installed on those relevant machines. And once these configurations are done, I could just go ahead and assign it to the machines either manually through the Machines tab, or all these can be automated through policy management. Now, all these relevant aspects of the service delivery model that we have seen across the board, everything can be automated with the help of policy management. Now, policy management is said to be the heartbeat of VSA, and it could be looked upon as a template or blueprint wherein we configure the template and add or remove the relevant policy objects. And once done, we just need to deploy it on organization or machine groups. And once deployed, the entire IT environment for your organization would completely get automated. Now, to configure policies, you can go to the Policies tab on the left-hand side. You can create your templates, and once you add a particular template, you can create your policies, which could be as simple as required, or it could be as sophisticated as needed, by enabling or disabling the relevant policy objects that is required and which is going to be a part of the template. So the analogy is same as that of group policy management. If you are an Active Directory or if you are an AD admin, you have been doing this GPO stuff for a lot of time. So conceptually, it's the same when it as that of GPO. However, group policy objects are more user-centric, wherein Kaseya policy management is more asset-centric. Once the policy is configured, just deploy it on organization or machine groups. And once it's deployed, based on the view that I have selected or the technology view that I've selected while configuring the template, all the relevant machines that belong to that specific organizational unit or that department would automatically inherit the policy, and your entire IT infrastructure will automatically get automated. Not only this, in future, as and when your organization grows in leaps and bounds and you start installing new agents on the relevant machines to manage them or to bring it under the management console, all you need to do is just install the agent on the relevant endpoint, select the machine group which it belongs to, and once the agent will get installed, automatically the policy template that we have created and assigned to a specific organizational unit or a machine group will get executed in the next 30 seconds. So in this way, you would be able to move out of the manual work that you have been doing and can automate your entire IT infrastructure. And this is going to make sure that your entire IT environment is automated. Now, as Praveen apprised that we have library of scripts, so definitely it is our community.it connect, where you could register and sign up and go to Automation Exchange, wherein administrators who are managing VSA for different organizations, as well as we as Kaseya employees have uploaded scripts. You could always download these scripts and import it within VSA to automate the mundane jobs that you're doing on a day in, day out basis. Now, wrapping up VSA is reports. So all the information that we have seen across the board, it needs to be substantiated or validated with the help of reports. Now, when we talk about reports, there are reports that's already pre-configured, but if required, you can create your reports with the help of ad hoc report writer as well. So we spoke about software management in detail or at a very high level. So one of the reports that I would like to present to you is set to be the software management overview, which is going to give me not only a graphical representation of my compliance in terms of patching, but also it is going to break it down based on the relevant machines and the number of patches that needs to get installed on those systems as well in a tabular format. Now, at any given point of time, you can go ahead and download these reports in a PDF format. You can schedule them. And last but not the least, white label with your own company logo as well. Now, with this, moving on to our service desk module, which is Kaseya Vorex. So based on the workflow that we have configured in VSA, as and when an alert will get generated, a ticket gets created in the Vorex module itself. Now, being a tech, once I drill down to that particular ticket, I could add my activities, I can add time, so on and so forth. However, while I'm troubleshooting on that particular ticket, if I would have to look at certain procedural instruction or SOPs related to that endpoint for which the ticket is associated, I would not have to jump or switch into IT Glue. All I need to do is, with the help of cohesive workflow that we do have amongst these three products, click on the IT Glue icon, would get to see all the relevant configuration related documents, the organization to which it belongs, the contacts, and even if it belongs to a certain location as well. In other words, we are saving time for your techs. Last but not the least, let's say, for instance, the agent is installed on a server. There's a patch deployment that happened. However, it failed. With the help of workflow, it created a ticket. I'm working on this particular ticket, but now I would have to establish a remote control session because I need to have a look at what's exactly is happening on that particular machine itself. Once again, I would not have to switch to VSA, search for that specific machine, establish Live Connect, and then remote in. From the ticket itself, I could directly click on Kaseya Live Connect, which is going to establish a backdoor access. And hence, I can go ahead and remote into that specific endpoint. Once again, we are saving time for your technicians and making sure that they are more efficient in performing their day in, day out activity. Last but not the least, the trifecta covers IT Glue as well, which is our documentation hub. Now, as Praveen apprised during his slide deck presentation, IT Glue, apart from being the centralized location for all your documentation, it is also well integrated with both VSA as well as Vorex. So let's say, for example, I am a technician and I am working in IT Glue on and updating some documents for deployment 01, which is one of the servers. Now, at that point of time, if a ticket gets created, I would not have to switch to Vorex to work on that ticket. Directly from IT Glue itself, I can go to the tickets tab over here, would get to see the relevant ticket that is created and can start working on it. In due course of troubleshooting, I realized that I would have to establish a remote control session on that specific endpoint. Once again, I would not have to leave IT Glue as a platform or as an application. From ITG itself, I could simply click on Live Connect. It is going to establish a backdoor access, and hence I can remote into the target endpoint. Last but not the least, if I have to execute certain scripts, let's say it could be deleting the prefetch and temp files, disabling certain keys in the registry, so on and so forth. If I am in IT Glue, and if I'm having a look at a specific configuration or a specific endpoint for which I'm updating documentation, and all of a sudden the ticket ticket requirement is for me to go ahead and execute a script, I would not have to leave the application. From IT Glue itself, I can execute the script, and the outcome of that script will not only get documented as a procedure status in IT Glue, but also based on the workflow that we have configured, the status will get documented as an activity in the ticket as well in Vorex module. So this was an overarching concept of our trifecta, named IE VSA, which is for endpoint management and monitoring, Vorex, which takes care of your service desk environment, and IT Glue, which is specifically meant for documentation and streamlining your documentation environment within your IT organization. Now, in case if you do want a more detailed presentation of any or all of these relevant applications with a much deep dive into it, you could always get in touch with our partners in Global Asia Synergy, and we would be more than happy to go ahead and arrange a personalized presentation for you. So with this, I would hand over the reins of the webinar to Praveen for closing remarks, and we will then take up Q&A if there are any. Praveen, all yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. Very impressive. All right, so folks, we are top of the hour. I'm just going to quickly wrap this session with just a couple of slides more. Right, so the other important aspect that I would want to cover as the end, points in this webinar is the need for a Bcdr solution, right? Bcdr is in many ways an extension of your security, providing a way to undo the worst scenarios while also protecting the critical data of your business. We have seen a steady rise in the perception of this functionality within small businesses, with a 64% increase in demand in just the last year alone. People are realizing that in order to stay compliant, overcome security breaches, or simply maintain businesses, having a fresh, reliable backup solution is essential. Right? That's the need for a Bcdr solution. So Kaseya Suite is, of course, comprehensive, covering local and cloud backup to ensure the entire spectrum of business operations is protected both on-prem with appliances or even be it on cloud. And as with the rest of the suite, all at a much, much more competitive price as compared to the products that are available in the market. That's the power of a comprehensive, integrated, and cost-effective platform. Everything you need woven into one platform with commonality and interface, so you can get IT done. All right, thank you, gentlemen and ladies, of course. That brings me to the end of this presentation. Back to you, folks.
All right, thank you, John. Thank you, Praveen, for the presentation and for your time. I'm going to switch back to bahasa if you don't mind. So
Sure.
I'll
Thank
try
you.
to gather up the question that coming up during the session. Let's see if there's any good question that worth bring up. Oke, teman-teman, Pak Yuda, Pak Raymond, apakah ada pertanyaan yang bisa kita ajukan? Mungkin dari teman-teman di sini tadi ada beberapa saya lihat yang mungkin bisa kita bring up.
Di chatbox ada sih tuh, Kang.
Oh iya, kebaca kok di Telegram. Ini sebagian udah dilempar juga nih. Silahkan Kang Toren dibacain atau Kang Yuda yang belum dijawab tadi pertanyaannya.
Okay, all right, that's a question. I think it will go to, I don't know, Praveen perhaps. There's a question here. When we talk about the endpoint management, we think of PCs, laptop, which have a physical form. If it's in the form of a VDI, does that also apply in this case?
Yep. So when we are talking about VDI, the technology refers to virtual desktop infrastructure, and it is technically managing your virtual machines. So virtual machines will be considered as an endpoint. So till the time the agent is installed, we will be able to manage and monitor those virtual machines just the way you manage and monitor a physical box. There will be no difference in that. So in short, the answer is yes. If it's VDI, it can be done.
Okay, good to know. Jadi begitu ya teman-teman ya, semua teman-teman yang di sini. Jadi untuk apa VDI atau virtual desktop environment nggak ada masalah, tetap bisa di handle sama VSA gitu ya. Okay, there's a second question. Let me rephrase this. Okay, in VSA, if a machine, I believe, is affected by a worm, a virus, or what some sort of spam, does it appear on the graph as a vulnerable? Is it something that came up on the graph?
Now, VSA being a remote monitoring and management solution, when we talk about vulnerability, the vulnerabilities are just going to be the patches that are not installed on the endpoints. It is not going to go ahead and show any type of worms or viruses or malware. If you are interested in getting that information, we do have our partner Bitdefender from an endpoint security perspective, and Bitdefender does integrate with VSA. So Bitdefender, being a security solution provider, would be able to assist in that perspective. From VSA front, the vulnerability is just going to be related to patches that needs to get updated on the relevant machines.
Okay, great. So in a way, there's a third-party solution that are integrated with VSA that work well together that can address this issue, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So another question came up. So can we install it on Linux?
Yes, the agents can be installed on Windows, Mac, and Linux.
Yeah, is there any particular Linux version that are supported or something like that, John, that you can share with us here?
We support all the Linux versions apart from Mint OS. So if it's Mint OS, then unfortunately the agent will not be installed. We will not be able to install the agents on them.
Alright, okay. Jadi gitu ya teman-temannya Pak Dito, terjawab ya pertanyaannya. Jadi untuk Linux bisa diinstal kecuali Mint OS gitu. Ya, itu ada apa namanya? Ada informasi mengenai integrasi dari Alpha yang mungkin teman-teman bisa klik nanti di situ, mungkin ada informasi beberapa third party partnernya Kaseya, atau kalau di Kaseya bilangnya apa teman-teman?
Apa ya? Ya. Oke, door tuh jadi itu kan ngeblank.
Wah, pada ngantuk nih kayaknya, coba disuruh betul.
Kopinya kurang biasanya barbar nih hari ini.
Mungkin ada lagi pertanyaan dari teman-teman yang bisa saya sampaikan supaya bisa dijawab nih, mumpung ada pakarnya nih, Bapak John Ray di sini, yang mungkin ada pertanyaan yang jelimet mengenai apa tadi tuh?
Apapun.
Ya, tuh tadi gitu ya. Tuh cuci muka kata
cuci muka tuh, cuci muka pakai kopi tuh biar seger. Cuci muka pakai kopi.
Oke. Ada lagi mungkin pertanyaan dari teman-teman mungkin?
Mau nanya boleh?
Ya, silakan,
Oh,
silakan.
silakan.
Boleh
Ya,
silakan Pak.
dari Adi Pak, first.
Pak Adi.
Ya, tadi.
Itu kan tadi ada BSA, terus ada VSA ya, sama IT Glue ya.
Iya.
Kalau pertama kali diinstal di VM misalkan untuk VSA-nya, terus kemudian kita nggak tahu nih seberapa seiring berjalannya waktu itu kan data makin lama makin bertambah ya, makin growth ada.
Ya.
Nah terus dengan kondisi yang storage terbatas, apakah dimungkinkan jika melakukan resizing, misalkan pada waktu kita mau install IT Glue ternyata storage yang ada di VSA kurang gitu ya, terus kita resize di sisi VM-nya, apakah dimungkinkan seperti itu ya troubleshooting-nya?
Oke, saya coba tanyakan ya Pak Adi ya, langsung ke Pak
Ya,
Adi.
makasih Pak.
Terima kasih Pak Adi. Terima kasih Pak Adi.
Alright, so John, here's the question. So the question is, this particular user already has an instance of a VSA, right, on their virtual environment. So if they would like to like integrate like IT Glue or Forex into their environment,
To resize.
yeah, I mean, if they only have, do they could resize their virtual machine environment to cope up this integration, or
Yeah, that's not required because Vorex and IT Glue, they will be on cloud. There is no on-prem version of Vorex and IT Glue.
Or is only
So you will be able to integrate VSA with Vorex as well as IT Glue. The only requirement is that VSA IP address should be public facing.
Alright, oke, jadi gitu ya Pak Adi ya.
Ya, noted Pak.
Jawab ya. Jadi untuk saat ini belum ada versi on-prem-nya, hanya available versi cloud untuk kedua solusi tersebut, baik Forex maupun IT Glue gitu.
Oke, makasih Pak.
Yeah. Okay. There's another question here. Can VSA manage Chrome OS or Chromebook?
Unfortunately, VSA can only be installed on Windows, Mac, and Linux. As of now, we do not have any agent that is, we do not have the architecture which is going to be compatible with Chrome OS or Chromebook.
Alright. Ya, jadi itu ya, untuk Chromebook saat ini belum bisa disupport oleh Kaseya. Sejauh ini masih di Windows, Mac OS dan Linux. Linuxnya juga tadi hampir semua Linux bisa kecuali Mint OS. Ada lagi mungkin dari teman-teman? Ayo, silakan biar
Mungkin
kita
yang
ngantuk.
mau
Kita
bertanya.
diskusi mengenai Holy Trinity ini dari Kaseya ya. Jadi ada Forex, kemudian ada Ticlo dan VSA, gimana mereka berintegrasi untuk bisa mengadres ya masalah dari teman-teman semua. Silakan. Mungkin teman-teman gas lainnya mungkin ada yang mau. Ya. Mas Remon, Mas Yuda.
Ada kendala gitu? Bisa di-sharing di sini?
Oke, kalau memang nggak ada lagi pertanyaan, nggak apa-apa. Kita mungkin lanjut aja kali ya, langsung ke apa ya? Kalau nggak salah ada sesuatu yang udah ditunggu-tunggu nih sama teman-teman semua.
Belum
Ada
dulu
yang mau
Kak.
cerita,
Belum dulu nih Kak.
Tapi kalau misalkan nanti sambil berjalan ada yang, baru keingetan nih, ada yang mau bertanya nih, langsung di chatbox aja ya, nanti
Di
bisa
chatbox
kita
aja,
Ya
sampaikan.
betul.
Bisa.
Silakan teman-teman dilanjut.
Oke. Mungkin di next sesi ini ada sharing session nih dari Pak Cipto Handi Utomo dari PT Astra Grafia.
Mungkin Pak Cipto Handi Utomo ini bisa cerita sedikit tentang jadi kita ceritain dulu mungkin Pak Cipto Handi Utomo ini sudah menggunakan Kaseya VSA dan BMS. Mungkin bisa diceritakan terkait pengalamannya menggunakan Kaseya VSA dan BMS-nya.
Halo Pak Cipto.
Ya,
Halo, halo Pak
selamat
Cipto.
siang,
Kita selamat
selamat
siang.
siang semuanya, Bapak Ibu
Ya.
semuanya. Good afternoon, Previn, John,
Yes.
Pak Jul, Pak Teddy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ya, eh
Gimana Pak? Tadi sehat Pak?
very sehat, sehat, sehat,
Masih
sehat.
udah di kantor atau masih di rumah aja nih Pak?
Kebetulan sudah di kantor, Mas.
Waduh, di kantor.
Iya, Mas Novan.
Pas
Siang,
Thank you nih untuk waktunya, sedikit sharing berbagi juga di sini, kesempatannya udah dikasih kesempatan sih untuk memberikan sharing sedikit ya. Dari memang pengalaman tadi yang sudah dikatakan PSE sama segala macamnya, kita udah ada beberapa yang memang kita coba, kebetulan ada beberapa klien, cuman saya nggak mau menyebutkan kliennya karena based on B2B bisnis, kita tetap pegang NDA
Yes.
dari grupnya Astra. Saya nggak berani sebutkan, tapi pada dasarnya beberapa testimoni yang mungkin bisa saya sampaikan adalah ini pengalaman penggunaan Kasia ini diimplementasi. Awal tuh saya sempat menyampaikan dalam hati, ya beberapa kali saya di awal itu sempat berdiskusi dengan Pak Jul. Pak Jul tolong bantu saya, support saya untuk kebutuhan klien kami segala macam. Awal tuh walaupun Pak Jul dengan yakin dan pede, saya sebagai counterpart ya, let's say kita bilang itu, saya sempat bener nggak nih gitu kan.
Ya.
Ya, tapi harus dicoba. Kalau nggak dicoba, kan di dalam sebuah pekerjaan pasti ada resiko kan, kurang lebih kayak gitu. Di proses itu saya coba diskusi sama Pak Jul, sama tim, bahkan minta, Pak coba sharing dikit dulu, saya perlu meyakinkan teman-teman saya di internal untuk kita bawa produk nih dari sini, saya bilang gitu kan, disupport. Langkah pertama itu, langkah kedua mulai ke quotation seperti apa. Dari quotation sedikit TikTok bolak-balik, tapi bukan TikTok ya, kalau zaman sekarang banyak TikTok. Saya mau yang nama aja, bilang TikTok dulu ya kan. Oke, support. Nah, di sini paling kritis nih, mulai instalasi dan segala macam ya kan. Dilalah saya mengatakan benar apalah kadarnya, itu dari dari teman-teman Global Asia Sinergi itu very support. Mereka bikin satu grup inisiatif, bahkan dari mereka biasanya mestinya kita yang butuh tuh kita yang lebih inisiatif gitu ya, tapi ini saya surprisingly teman-teman gas itu inisiatif bikin satu grup WhatsApp, saya dengan tim back end. Di dalam itu semuanya, Pak saya butuhnya nanti dari customernya Bapak kurang lebih seperti apa aja, mulai dari Pak tolong disiapin ya VM-nya seperti apa, ini mau pakai fisik atau VM, kurang lebih. Wah itu udah komunikasinya langsung tiba-tiba dari tim saya yang back end nggak proaktif juga, jadi lebih termotivasi ya, lebih cepat gitu loh. Itu dia yang saya ngalamin pada saat instalasi itu, jadi mudah banget karena proses ada beberapa ribu yang harus kita deploy di endpoint-nya kayak gana gitu kan, dengan agent. Terus konfigurasi juga mudah karena di customer biasa, kalau kita ketemu customer mereka hanya tahu di luarnya saja, tapi details dari pekerjaan mungkin mereka belum sharing kan. Biasanya mereka baru sharing, saya maunya begini Pak, saya maunya begitu Pak gitu kan. Itu biasanya di kick off meeting tuh. Nah itu ternyata banyak banget yang ternyata di luar daripada TOR apa RFP, dan so far itu done. Itu dia. Nah itu yang buat saya udah sedikit tenang. Sampai dengan beberapa project saya yang saya jalani di Astra gitu kan, itu BST lancar ya kan. Ternyata ada lagi masalah yang saya hadapin gitu kan. Sempat terjadi ada masalah di customer gitu kan. Nah, dilalah saya kira mati, dan saya bilang selesai instalasi pas lagi day to day habis saya bilang gitu kan. Tapi ternyata dilalah hal itu malah customer mungkin karena alert di sini ada supportive segala macam gitu ya. Kita belum dapat dari teman-teman KSEA, coba kontak Pak, kayaknya ada isu nih Pak, kita harus lihat gitu. Proaktif. Wah, saya di sini saya amazing, benar-benar amazing gitu kan. Jadi kalau saya bisa memberi Global Asia Sinergi nilai itu 10 dari 10.
Wih,
Gitu
siap
loh.
Pak.
Ya, tim ini hebat ya, semuanya tuh berjalan lancar lah dari beberapa proyek yang kita jalanin gitu kan. Dan itu fakta ya. Saya nggak mengalami adanya kekhawatiran besar gitu sampai dengan hari ini. semua ini tuh proses yang digas dari gas globalisasi sinergi yang membuat segalanya itu lebih mudah dikelola mungkin ya. Saya juga menyukai faktanya bahwa globalisasi sinergi memberikan kemungkinan untuk menggunakan kelebihan hari gitu loh. Maksudnya adalah teman-teman tuh nggak berhitung dengan waktu. Itu dia salah satunya. Kan kalau kita di project mungkin Bapak Ibu di sini yang ikut join di siang ini. Kadang kita mikir ya kalau terlalu prosedural sistem, kadang kita kalau di project susah ya karena dinamika project itu banyak gitu loh. Jadi kalau saya ngelihat di sini paket lengkap ya dari KSEA dengan Global Asia Sinergi yang ada di Indonesia, karena somehow kita nggak bisa pungkiri keberadaan kenyataan kita cross territory kepulauan itu agak sulit, nggak semudah di luar negeri. Kalau let's say kita bilang kita compare sama negara tetangga kita yang hanya kecil saja, kita yang kecilnya mereka sama dengan Jakarta gitu kan. Kalau kita luas banget seperti apa, mereka tahu teman-teman Global Asia Sinergi gitu. Udah produknya bagus, teman-teman gasnya nih bagus punya nih gitu loh ya kan. Jadi lengkap, paket lengkap saya bilang gitu. Jadi kalau saya bilang boleh ucapkan terima kasih buat teman-teman Global Asia Sinergi yang selama ini juga telah support terus dan sekarang pun masih berjalan sama produk KSEA yang in totally dapat saya katakan mudah untuk digunakan. Saya pikir customer pun akan happy sih. Prosesnya cukup bagus. Mungkin kurang lebih itu yang bisa saya sampaikan untuk yang hari ini kepada Bapak Ibu semuanya.
Oh, oke Pak Edi, terima kasih untuk sharing session yang
Makasih banget tuh Pak.
Makasih Pak. Makasih Pak.
Terima kasih
Semoga
Pak Andi.
nggak ada
Sama-sama,
pemikiran yang
Pak.
apa-apa nih ya. Soalnya bagus banget nih. Kita juga deg-degan nih.
Deg-degan nih.
Deg-degan. Bentar, kayak apa-apa nih.
Iya.
Makasih banget Pak Andi sudah hadir dan sudah mau memberikan testimoni atau pengalaman pemakaian produk KSEA dari kami.
Ya.
Bisa dulu. Kang Bima.
Nah, dilanjut kali ya.
mungkin dilanjut untuk sesinya untuk Alfa dan tim akan ingin mau
Oke, terima kasih Pak Hadi atau Pak Cipto nih saya manggilnya Pak.
Pak Cipto boleh, Pak Hadi boleh, sama-sama.
Pak Hadi mungkin di sini kalau ada teman-teman yang mau, boleh nggak nih Pak kalau ada teman-teman yang mau nanya-nanya nih Pak ke Pak Hadi nih Pak.
Silakan.
Ya teman-teman mungkin di sini kalau ada teman-teman yang mau mau nanya-nanya mungkin ya boleh. Pak Adi udah kasih lampu hijau nih buat kita kalau ada yang mau tanya-tanya pengalamannya selama ini dengan Global Asia Sinergi dan KSEA. Silahkan kali aja ada yang penasaran gitu ya, masa iya sih Pak Andi ini tadi kayaknya reviewnya cemerlang banget gitu loh, mungkin
nilainya 10 nih Kang kita.
ada 10 dari 10 loh tadi. Saya
10, iya.
gemeteran Pak denger ya Pak.
Nggak ada pesan sponsor kok pastinya. Real kalau itu real yang kita alami.
Ya, terima kasih banyak Pak untuk
kasih.
untuk sharingnya. Buat teman-teman kalau misalkan yang mau ditanyakan silakan ditanyakan. Kalau memang nggak ada lagi yang mau ditanyakan, mungkin karena mengingat waktunya juga udah lumayan ya, udah 1,5 jam gitu ya.
Iya Kang, betul Kang.
Aja kali ya teman-teman ya, kita lanjut aja ke acara berikutnya. Silakan.
Selanjutnya ada
Yang ditunggu-tunggu nih sepertinya.
Ada apa tuh, Mon?
Ada apa ya ini ya?
Ada
Mungkin ada di
saatnya
kita
kuis.
kuis.
Kita
Ini,
kuis deh.
kuis nih.
Biar nggak ngantuk ya.
Nah, ini nih, ya kan?
Yang dinanti oleh teman-teman nih.
Kuis, gitu kan? Yo, siap-siap teman-teman semuanya. Kita mau kuis buat teman-teman semua yang ada di sini yang mau ikutan kuisnya. Itu caranya sama.
Sama seperti
Ya,
tadi yang
bisa
simple
di-scan
polling.
juga atau ke URL-nya.
Ya, bisa akses untuk kalau misalkan yang dari laptop bisa akses dari www.menti.com, masukkan kode yang ada di bawah 44332478 atau dari handphone teman-teman nih bisa langsung di-scan.
Pak, kata Pak Dito nih, ada jebakan Batman. Nggak ada Pak, nggak ada. Ini pure benar-benar Pak, pure bercanda.
Pure bercanda sih sebenarnya. Pertanyaannya susah-susah sih sebenarnya.
Saya harus bilang Bapak Pak Reza Pak Dito kayaknya agak kecewa nih ya kali ini ya karena jebakan Batman-nya makin parah Pak.
Bukan lebih baik tapi makin parah ya Kang Ebi.
Yo lagi teman-teman.
Baru 29 orang yang join.
Yang lainnya yang mau.
Yang mau
join.
Coba mungkin diingetin lagi tadi apa aja sih yang bisa didapetin dari kuis ini coba teman-teman.
Di kuis ini untuk pemenang pertamanya itu mendapatkan top up voucher OVO sebesar 500.000. Pemenang kedua 300.000. Pemenang ketiga 200.000. Ya, itu nanti berupa uang domino ya? Apa monopoli tadi?
Monopoli kan? Monopoli.
Kertas nih, kertas domino.
Via OVO top up nanti Pak.
Bukan monopoli ya Pak?
Bukan.
Oke, masih bergabung total baru 34 orang, mungkin yang belum, yang mau juara 1 mungkin yang tangannya cepat.
Mungkin pakai buat bisa pesan di saya.
Keyboard.
Ya Shopee.
Oke, baru 36 orang. Kita tunggu nih 1 menit lagi.
Ayo.
Kode lucu-lucu ya. Ada yang pisang itu.
Yuk, baru 37 orang, yuk.
Wih, tangan kaku nih udah lama nggak kuis katanya tuh.
Oke, 30.
Ya Pak, dilemesin Pak, stretching dulu Pak.
Tapi terakhir ini kemarin.
Ya, ada di 37 orang. Bentar lagi.
Dikasih waktu aja ayo biar
Ya, ini 15 detik lagi kita akan mulai kuisnya.
Kasihan teman-teman yang lain yang udah join.
Ya,
ya udah nggak sabar mau ngetik.
Gak sabar mau ini
jawab.
Keburu gemeteran ntar. Jangan lupa sebelum mulai kuisnya diseruput dulu kopinya Pak.
Oke, kita mulai ya kuisnya.
Oke, kita lanjut.
Nah, yuk.
Ya, siap-siap tangannya.
Siap, Pak. Apa nama? Ya, begitu.
Ya, pertanyaannya itu apa nama platform kasih untuk membantu teman-teman IT Persel melaksanakan tiketing
dan service desk.
Ya loh.
Ayo 15 detik, silahkan.
5 detik lagi.
Power glue katanya.
2, 1, ya.
Oke.
Dedet.
Voltus tadi jawab tuh.
Ini gara-gara Pak Randy nih, mungkin langsung pada glu.
Oke.
Masih ada yang ngejawab 12 ya.
Kejebak, ada yang kejebak.
Oke, poin ya, yang paling
tinggi itu ada di Pak
Yongstar. Paling cepet nih kayak pakai bot nih.
Iya, pakai bot nih.
1 poin.
Jadi untuk
900. Masih tipis ini poin-poinnya nih.
Cuma 1 poin doang itu.
Iya,
Pak Reza belakangan biasanya. Pak Dito belum nongol nih Pak Dito.
Oke. Next. Nah,
pertanyaan kedua nih.
Mari persiapan. Oke, cepat-cepatan. Apa fitur dari KCAVSE untuk melakukan remote support in the background?
Ayo.
Apa nih ya?
Ada audit,
agent prosedur, ada live connect.
Audit kan bisa sama ya, nge-remote tuh audit juga kan sebenarnya.
Bisa banget.
Bisa banget. Agent prosedur juga bisa banget kan?
Bisa.
Langsung menyalakan
remote TV. 25 nih banyak yang bener nih.
Berarti konsen.
Ada yang jawab agent prosedur.
Oke. Kita lihat.
Wih. Paling tinggi ada di
Oke,
Reza, ngepur.
Ini
langganan nih, buaya, logonya buaya.
Buaya nih Mas Reza nih, langganan nih. Oke, di next.
Ayo, pertanyaan ketiga.
Oke, ready ya semua.
Siapakah special guest untuk speaker pada hari ini? Nah, lo siapa tuh?
Dan Yuda ini.
Nah, bukan. Kita
konsen.
Ini konsen. Itu ada.
Itu siapa itu? Ada namanya itu.
Fiska itu.
Kan harus klik cepat nih. 3, yuk. 2, 1.
Wah, langsung cepet.
Mantap.
Raymond dan Yuda itu siapa yang jawab? Kita cuman underdog di sini.
Oke, yang siapa nih masih memimpin nih?
Wah, kayaknya masih ini nih. Masih
Oke,
kayaknya masih tetap nih.
David.
Set.
Waduh.
Waduh, beda cuma 1 poin nih.
Oke, Mas Reza masih
Tipis
memimpin
banget nih,
1
Pak
poin
Khairul.
nih.
1 poin aja nih.
Iya. Oke, di next di pertanyaan nomor 4. Oke. Apa kegunaan dari IT Glue? Apa ya?
Apa tuh?
Apa nih?
Ngelem.
Di IT Glue sendiri nih.
Ya, katanya tuh.
Kita lihat nih jawaban dari teman-teman apa nih?
Yes.
Waduh.
Wah, 11 orang deh.
12 orang terjebak
Apa nih?
Soalnya itu juga nggak bisa remote support ya, beda ya.
Oke, kita.
Oke, pertanyaan apa nih? Oh, masih ini ya, leaderboard ya.
Aduh, Mas Reza.
Waduh, Mas Reza nih
Mas
kayaknya.
Reza ini.
Tersalip.
Aduh, dipimpin oleh Mas Khairullah.
Khairullah.
Ya. Oke, di next pertanyaannya.
Masih ada kesempatan
terakhir.
satu kali lagi.
Nomor terakhir nih.
Terakhir.
Iya, ini
Hati-hati terjebak.
Saya hitung mundur nih untuk pertanyaan terakhir di 3, 2, 1 untuk dapat poin lebih cepat. Nah, apa topik pembicaraan pada hari ini?
Nah, lo.
Nah, tadi
Topik lo.
di awal nih. Apa ya untuk topik pembicaraan hari ini?
Di video ada, di slide ada.
Di slide ada,
Ya,
di
iya,
semua
iya.
ada.
Iya ada.
Apa ya?
Apa ya?
Sedikit jebakan ini. Oke, masih.
Ya, kita lihat.
Siapakah pemenangnya?
Siapakah pemenangnya? Aduh, Mas.
Kemana pemenang? Udah nyerah duluan. Waduh. Selamat.
Khairul nih.
Oke. Untuk yang pertama ya, Pak.
Kita teman-teman.
Selamat pada
Thank you Pak.
Selamat Pak Khairul.
Yang kedua itu Pak Haris Amri.
Dan
Yang
ada
ketiga
Pak Budi Hermawan.
Ya.
Oke.
Ya,
Nanti
lanjut.
tunggu ya Pak hadiahnya.
Selamat
Pak.
loh, selamat Pak.
Selamat. Oke, lanjut.
Terakhir tapi belum terakhir banget nih Bang Novan.
Apa tuh?
Aduh,
Masih ada lagi?
Belum terima kasih.
Oh, belum terima kasih.
Belum ya?
Masih
Belum,
ada.
dong. Terima kasih dulu.
Oh, coba.
Ini.
Kuis lagi.
Kuis lagi atau kuisnya lebih berat nih sepertinya. Bisa di-share dari Kang Novan.
Belakangan aja kalau itu. Kita
belakangan aja nih.
dulu ya.
Oke, mungkin dari sini kita ucapkan terima kasih untuk teman-teman yang sudah bergabung kepada di Ngobar kali ini, untuk John and Raven and Alpha. Thank you for your presentation with us.
Ya, terima kasih lagi buat audiens juga ya Pak. Di sini udah mau hampir buat ngobrol. Terus buat ini kita mau ngingetin aja kalau buat dapetin OVO-nya itu tetap harus isi feedback form dari di asiasinerik.com itu ya Pak. Nah, jangan lupa itu.
Oke, terima kasih buat teman-teman semua yang udah datang. Link untuk feedbacknya saya kirim di chat ya.
Chatbox ya, iya siap.
Oke. Mungkin bisa diisi dulu nih feedbacknya sebelum ke
penghujung acara nih.
Penghujung acara yang paling meriah nih, kuis. Waduh. Kuis lagi
dong, bukan kuis dong.
Pertanyaan lebih berat atau apa?
Nggak ada pertanyaan.
Oh, nggak ada pertanyaan ini.
Semuanya punya kesempatan untuk memenangkan.
Oh, adu
tapi hanya untuk khusus yang ada di sini ya. Kalau yang udah daftar tapi nggak masuk, nggak masuk
bisa
namanya.
ya.
Iya.
Oke, terima kasih semua buat teman-teman yang sudah datang, rekan-rekan yang sudah datang. Terima kasih sudah mendengarkan dan hadir di ngobar kami yang kali ini yang membawa produk ASEA. Ya, itu hanya itu sih, mungkin yang lain mungkin bisa menambahkan.
Kang Novan.
Ya. Apa tuh?
Selain yang bakalan bentar lagi ini, ada apa lagi nih kawan yang teman-teman di sini bisa bisa nanti.
Oh iya, aku lupa ya. Oke. Jadi buat teman-teman yang hadir di sini ya, habis ini mungkin berkepikiran, wah kayaknya sesuai nih dengan kebutuhan perusahaan kami nih atau perusahaan saya nih, misalkan seperti itu. Datanya sudah ada di kami para peserta. Jadi kalau misalkan ingin melakukan POC ataupun melakukan lebih lanjut, lebih deep dive lagi tentang produk-produk yang sudah dibawakan hari ini, bisa hubungin di Kang Lauren sini, ada tertera.
Halo, iya, salam kenal Pak semuanya.
Ada Kang Nurjati juga di sini. Bisa kontak-kontaknya, nanti kita bisa kasih apa ya, trial dan penawaran menarik lah, mungkin harganya bagus,
Penawaran
mungkin,
menarik khusus
supportnya lebih
Ngobar
oke
ya?
lah gitu. Pokoknya kita servis paling oke lah untuk teman-teman yang sudah hadir di sini gitu. Kita kasih license trial juga, mau.
Ya, mungkin nanti teman-teman sini penasaran begitu ngelihat tadi kan, dijelasin sama Bapak John tadi sama Bapak Pravin. Seru juga nih kayaknya kita nyoba-nyoba gitu kan. Boleh nggak sih kita coba? Boleh sekali Pak. Kita nanti silakan langsung hubungi aja Kang Laurentius atau Kang Nurjati. Nomornya ada di layar situ. Kalau memang tertarik nanti kita sediain trialnya Pak buat bapak-bapak, buat teman-teman semua di sini yang mau coba produk-produk tadi gitu ya. Silakan. Oke, Kang Evan, lanjut Kang Evan.
Oke, kita ke ujung acara nih.
Penghujung banget nih Bang Novan.
Oke. Bentar ya.
Waduh, ini roda apa ini?
Tapi nggak ada lagunya saya. Nggak apa-apa ya.
Oke.
Disetelin.
Aman.
Oke, kita mulai aja ya.
Terputar ya.
Oke, 1, 2, 3 untuk memenangkan Dotas hari ini.
Roda gue nyaris dapet.
Nah, itu Mas Reza. Aduh.
Ya, oke. 1, 2, 3.
Oke, kita putar.
Siapa nih yang dapat nih?
Oh, Raymond Kurniawan sepertinya yang dapat editing.
Nggak ada namanya dong.
Nggak ada. Nih. Nah lo.
Halo.
Ini. Nah.
Yes.
Kena nih Pak Indra Lukman.
Kang Indra Lukman.
Ada di sini Bapak Indra Lukman. Halo.
Halo, Bapak Indra Lukman.
Bisa open mic, Pak?
Pak
Ada
Indra
nggak ya?
Lukman.
Apakah masih ada?
Panggilan
Halo.
pertama.
Panggilan pertama nih.
Yang pertama untuk door prize
Kang Indra
Pak
Lukman.
Pak Indra Lukman.
Panggilan kedua.
Panggilan kedua.
Bro, langsung aja dihitung.
Oke, kita hitung sampai 5 ya. 1, 2,
3, 4,
5.
5.
Iya.
Gugur ya.
Sanggup.
Ayo kita mulai lagi.
Kocok lagi.
Oke, kita undi lagi.
Lama nggak ini?
Kita undi lagi.
Oke, kita undi lagi ya. 1, 2, 3.
3.
Ya. Oke. Siapa nih yang dapat?
Nah lo. Wah, kelewatan itu.
Nah.
Iya, aduh. Nah,
Iya.
Syarifudin, Pak Adnan
Oke,
Syarifudin.
Pak Adnan Syarifudin ada di sini. Bisa open mic, silakan. Yang mute.
Halo.
Halo.
Halo Pak Adnan.
Pak Adnan,
Halo Pak Adnan.
Syarifudin. Yang pertama.
panggilan pertama.
Wah,
Ini kayak lelang jadinya.
Dilis sudah keluar kayaknya. Dilis sudah keluar.
Pak Adnan Syarifudin.
Dilis sudah keluar.
Yang
ini.
kedua.
Oke.
Oke, kita gugur lagi ya.
Gugur.
Aduh, ini Pak Reza masih ini nih. Masih menunggu.
Masih
nih.
berharap nih.
Iya, betul.
Hadir.
Pak Reza. Siapa Reza?
Bentar. 1, 2, 3.
Oke. Dapat nih. Aduh. Pak
Ya,
Ya.
Hadi
Hadi
Wahyono.
Pak Adi Wahyono. Ada Pak di sini?
Hadir Pak.
Wah,
hadir.
aduh,
Cocok nih.
selamat Pak Adi.
Siap,
Selamat
Pak Adi
Adi.
untuk
Umroh ya Pak, umroh.
Waduh, dapat kurban Pak, sapi Pak. Bukan perasaan.
Selamat ya Pak, Pak Adi Wayono. Nanti
Aduh, Pak Reza
saya
sepertinya
hubungin, Pak,
kecewa.
untuk minta data-datanya ya Pak, Pak Adi.
Ya, terima kasih.
Oke, terima kasih. Oke, teman-teman,
Pura-pura.
rekan-rekan sini terima kasih ya sudah datang di
Ya.
acara ini. Mohon dibantu feedbacknya. Oke, salam.
Salam, salam.
Salam.
Terima kasih
Terima kasih
ya
semua.
Pak.
Terima kasih semua.
Terima kasih semua.
Thank you. Terima kasih
Terima
semuanya.
kasih semuanya, izin pamit.
Sampai ketemu lagi ya Pak di event Ngobar selanjutnya.
Terima kasih Pak, terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Oke, kita close ya. Bye.